Alright, let's just get it out of the way early. This is a positively arid review for the driest game I've yet covered for this channel. Just look at what it's done to this typically juicy reference pair. It's absolutely parched! Now, I hope you enjoyed that tepid visual gag, because it's the best you're going to get out of me for the next 50 minutes or so, as I proceed to explain to you a game in which discussing the nature of the test is possibly the most exciting part. But even though this game is perhaps one of the most thematically banal I've played in recent memory, it's also one of the most mechanically intriguing. Take Time is a cooperative card game for 2 to 4 players that plays out in individual levels that take about 10 minutes or so to play through. Each set of 4 levels makes up a chapter, and completing all 10 chapters, that's 40 levels, is what eventually wins you the game. So what does one of these levels actually look like? Well, they play out in 3 phases. The aforementioned discussing the nature of the test, then doing the test, and then seeing how well you did on the test. Oh, but there's actually a secret 4th phase that you'll unlock after just a few games of Take Time, the where did it all go wrong phase. A phase in which players collectively ask each other what life decisions have led them to a point where taking a series of tests is the highlight of their evening, their day, and possibly even their week if things have gotten really desperate. No, stop it, Thomas, stop dunking. You're not Michael Basketball in the finals of basketball. It's a fun game. It's a very fun game. If I'm being candid, I think I'm puffing out this introduction with jokes and goofs to avoid the unenviable task of explaining how these tests actually play out, which we're gonna have to wade through together so I can explain to you why it is actually something that you really want to do. Doing the test involves everyone playing cards, one at a time, besides this circle in the middle of the table, which represents the level you're currently playing. You'll do this until everyone's out of cards, and then assess if what you've done meets the 3 core rules. Each segment must contain a card. Each segment's total value of cards must go up, and that total value must be no higher than 24. Additionally, each chapter and each individual level within those chapters is going to throw in additional rules to navigate. For example, the very first mission you play has 2 additional rules. A white card must go here, and exactly 3 cards have to sit here. Mission 4 wants a black and a white card here, and this segment's total value must be closer to 6 than any other segment. And that all sounds really easy, right? If it were all the rules. Because each card must be played without communicating, which is annoying, but also must be played face down, which is awful. Where do I play my 6 within this? What total value is contained in this segment? I don't know, I'm really scared. I need this thing back in its box and out of my sight immediately. Well, now that thing's out of here, we can talk about a real game, an exciting game. Have you heard about a little box called Hansa Tutor?
Thomas Brewster, you have done me wrong by throwing me in a bin, for inside my cardboard walls are many exciting puzzles that the people at home will want to play through. Tell them, Thomas. Tell them more about my mechanics. Review me properly.
Okay, I'm sorry, maybe I should come clean here and tell you that actually this game is a smidge easier than I've made it sound. Because your saving grace here is that Take Time allows its players a sliver of face-up cards, between 2 and 4 total depending on how many people are playing the game, and these act as little beacons of information for your friends to huddle around in Take Time's gloomy forest of unknowns. For example, it might really help everyone to know that I've played a 12 right in the middle here, or that our lowest card is currently a somewhat risky 6. But this information also helps inform people of the contents of your hand. If you're playing a face-up 3 in a segment that we're collectively trying to get as high as possible, then we're probably safe in the knowledge that you've got the lower slots that are empty pretty much covered. And notably, this shared stock isn't one that you ask permission to use. You just do it. Which of course comes with all of the associated social nausea of taking the last good handful of crisps from the bowl, leaving your friends to deal with the sad shrapnel that's left. Charming. And so that is all the rules, promise. And so the cardboard-savvy viewers amongst you might be leaping to some obvious comparisons. This puzzle of timing, deduction, and escalating challenge might bring up memories of The Mind, an old shut up and sit down favourite that syncs up everyone's brains in a kind of card-based magic trick. And the challenge of teasing out information, responding to different mechanical puzzles, and generally being really quite difficult, that might make you think of The Crew, one of the very finest card games out there. And you'd be right to think that. Take Time often feels like some sort of unholy union between these two designs, the Mru or the Crind. It's just a little harder, right? And somehow drier. And so what we've got here is a game that's pretty great. It's fun, it's a challenge, it's exciting. But why exactly is it getting its own personal shut up and sit down video review? Well, what if I told you that? Remember way back at the start of this video when I said that
Discussing the nature of the test is possibly the most exciting part.
Well, now it's finally time for me to explain to you why that chat is quite so exciting. Before you commit to doing a challenge, before you even look at the contents of your hands, players are given as long as they want to formulate a strategy around the particular challenge they're about to do. Now, that's not entirely unusual in this kind of game, but what is unusual is how generous Take Time is in letting you communicate without communicating. So here is a really simple example. The first player in any given challenge can be any one of you. Whoever wants to play first just does so, right? So if you need to play a value close to 6 in this segment, then make a rule. Go first if you have a 6. But then that rule can stretch. What if there's a subclause? If nobody goes first, meaning there's no 6 around the table, then how about we play a 5 or a 7 and we'll play our 7s face up and our 5s face down. We want this total value to be, say, 16, and if you've got that on you, then play that face down. But if you need help, then play face up. And if your hand is all low numbers, then signal that to us by playing one of those low numbers in the top slots first. We'll know to leave the rest of the low ones to you. Truly, the sky is the limit. The game only explicitly forbids you from doing things that would directly reveal hidden information, like if I place this card at an angle, then that means it's an 11, for example. But otherwise, make up whatever additional rules you want to make up in order to get through the challenge. Talk about your plans as much as you want, both in the individual strategy of what we're trying to do now and the macro layer. What's this challenge trying to get us to learn? Now, why is any of this good? For you, it might not be. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But for me, I was like a pig in muck, just rolling around in all the grit this introduces. Now, right off the bat, this level of challenge met with such a freedom of solve means that Take Time can be a truly expressive bit of puzzling. These rule sets that players come up with for themselves to follow can be these expansive decision trees, or they can just be these tiny little heuristics that just keep things pottering along. It's entirely up to you. But either way, it's an exciting act of creation. It's a lively discussion. It's a little piece of design that you all contribute towards. But also, how one group cracks a puzzle will be very different to another's. There's so many ways into these puzzles because they're not designed with a fixed solution in mind. You build the solution amongst yourselves in the ways that suit your own brains. Across its bounty of levels, Take Time is constantly pushing you to come up with new creations, skeletons of rules that'll shamble their way through whatever gimmick is hitting you over the head this time. And it's that creation that I find so appealing. Put it this way, it's half taking the test, and it's half cheating on the test. Now, I do love Take Time, but this box is not without its drawbacks and peculiarities. Chief amongst them is this presentation, which is ornate and beautiful. It looks lovely, but it maybe doesn't inspire much excitement when it's brought to the table. I think my group might have jumped at the chance to play this if it went for a theme that was a little bit more fizzy than clocks. I mean, they're lovely clocks, they're nice clocks. but clocks nonetheless. What's your favorite? Big bonger, astronomical, or small one? Tell me downstairs. Also, quarterbacking is a problem that my groups rarely experience, but if you have that one friend who tends to dominate the conversations about what to do and when, then the discussion phase of this game might be both of your personal hells. Your mileage may vary. More practically problematic are the ways in which the chapter structure of this game makes it somewhat allergic to new groups. The levels don't scale linearly in difficulty, but it does feel weird throwing people directly into Chapter 7 of this game without any warning. And so this guy ended up playing the early chapters of this game again and again and again, showing it to new groups and getting procedurally more and more bored. I think this box works best if you have a consistent group that can learn the lessons from each chapter gradually together. As for alternatives to Take Time, there are some immediate suggestions that spring to mind. We've already mentioned The Crew, and for good reason. My copy is absolutely battered after being played at the pub, probably hundreds of times. It's an absolute belter. We briefly chatted about the Lord of the Rings trick-taking games in our gift guide video, but I'll mention them again here as they are fantastic boxes whose cooperative campaigns have been an absolute joy to play through and indeed to revisit. I'm hoping to get those their own specific video soon. TM. Matt is a big fan of The Gang and got the real George Clooney to cameo in our review of that game, which steers us away from trick-taking, it nails its heist theme, and it gets poker to your table in the most approachable way possible. And finally, I have heard great things about Bomb Busters, but a copy didn't arrive in time for me to cover in this section of the video, so expect to hear more about that game on a Shut Up and Sit Down podcast sometime soon.
Thomas! You have done me wrong again by reviewing other games in my review. For this you will pay the ultimate price.
Oh.
Oh.
Oops.